Would it not be appropriate to indicate the reason why that died on the floor?
We could do so.
Because otherwise it just looks like we didn't pay the bill. When in actual fact it was included.
We
in
put
the
them
previous
together,
invoice.
yeah.
I just want the records to reflect.
Certainly.
Because to me, it looks like we have a bill.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll reflect that as combined in DA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the rationale for why it's dead. It looks so funny to see dead on an
It
agenda.
does, doesn't it? It's
All
not
right.
failed, it's just kind of dead.
Okay, any other errors or omissions?
Maybe just a point of order, more of a question, I guess.
What's up, Councilor Thompson?
If I may, I'm looking now at page 8, where we did the following resolutions were brought out of the in-camera. Is there any process of, does the background information come out, or I'm just not sure of the process here.
Why it's done? No, so when council deliberates or discusses items that come forward with motions in camera, some of the motions will stay in camera, but if they have to come out for regarding operations or for the public's knowledge on operations, then they come out, but the rationale does not come out, just the resolution that council made. And so that's why the rest of your discussion remains protected under the Privacy Act of the council.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you for that.
I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. Next item is the reading and approving of the October 4th special meeting of council. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that? Thank you, Councilor Rickert. Thank you, Councilor Rickert. Any errors or omissions? Councilor Thompson.
Again, just a clarification, I'm on page 10. Maybe I missed it, but did we have a meet and greet after?
What would you have called it? I didn't know what to call it. You had a little visit.
Oh, I thought a couple of people just said hello. There wasn't anything really scheduled or.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it
you
really
remained in
reflects.
council chambers with a quorum of council after the meeting was adjourned, so I called it a meet and greet.
Okay.
We can call it whatever council chooses to call it.
I'm fine with this. Fine with me.
Visit?
I'm not going to be here.
Yeah.
All right. Call the question then. All in favor? Carried. All right, so petitions and delegations. Councilor, okay, so we have none. Questions from the member of the public. I was gonna.
Sorry.
Are you okay? So, Alan Frederick on letters. Yeah, go ahead there, Mr. Frederick.
In the prior council meeting, I had 4 letters that I sent into council looking for some information on a variety of topics. I received no responses. However, I noticed in the agenda there's a letter, 2 letters dated September the 28th. I still have not got them, the original.
From the 4 letters that you submitted, you're asking for follow-up on the 4 letters?
On the 4 letters, the 2 of them that are in the agenda, I have never received the originals of them. And they're dated the 28th of September. So I don't know about your document control, if it's working or not. The other 2 are letters that you were going to respond
Yes.
to, and I haven't heard it all of you.
I haven't gotten back to you yet on those, Mr. Frederick. I will get back to you on them this week. The other 2.
So our process, they should be in the mail. Our process is the letter is composed.
I don't expect you to do that.
And then, no, I can check, because if it hasn't gone out, Mr. Frederick makes a valid point. They then go for putting in envelopes sealing through the machine and stamping, and then our mail is supposed to go out every day if there's mail there. So let me keep going with it. I see nothing there, Mr. Frederick.
So it must be.
So I can only assume that it is in the post, but I will follow up for you.
Okay, the only other thing that I wanted to ask about was the, under the correspondence with regards to the first letter, it says here, direction, Mr. Frederick will work with administration to receive information after council gives the go-ahead. I'm not sure
Sorry, where are you looking, sir?
I'm looking under number 8, correspondence.
Page 5.
Sorry.
Oh,
page
thank
5.
you.
Four letters.
And it says direction. Not sure I understand what's meant there.
The direction is given to administration, Mayor Martin.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just, okay, yeah. Okay, that's, I see what you mean, it's just a little confusing, the direction Mr. Frederick will work, and it was just supposed to be that, actually, it's supposed to be council will work, or I'd work with administration to do the response, so, that's all that is.
If Mr. Frederick is asking about not having not been able to receive the information, that is because we are still looking at
No, he was just
Oh,
asking why it
okay.
says Mr. Frederick
Oh,
will work
okay,
with
yeah.
administration,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of worded where it sounds like
Worded.
he's gonna sit down and review and write a letter to himself. All right, does that answer your questions, Mr. Frederick?
Yeah, because I did get a letter in response according to the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't physically received the letter,
Yeah.
as I mentioned.
That's just, I think, just a matter of timing. All right, we'll move on to unfinished business. The amendment of the 2016 budget, we're still waiting for professional advice. So we'll move on to financial policy draft on page 11. So the background on this was after the internal audit, administration had asked that we come back with a strong financial policy to ensure we address some of the inadequacies in our financial department. So this is draft, just the draft form for council to begin discussions. So what would be the process from here, Kelly?
I've sent this out to everyone, everyone's seen it twice now.
Okay.
So, my thoughts are, if there's any input or changes council would like to see, they can let me know so I can go forward to a revised
Okay.
draft.
Did council hear that?
No.
So I address you.
Okay, so basically this is for council to look at, so if you have any input on it, like for example, under accounts payable in general, you've got a strike through on must to be, you've got 2 striked out, so I know that one's wrong, so that was one input you received. And if there's any other input, it goes through to Kelly, and then Kelly
Yeah.
creates a policy out of it. Does it have to come through a couple times, or is there a standard?
No, I mean, if council is happy with the language as it stands, they feel it serves the purposes it needs to, then it can be put in its final form and can be adopted at our next meeting.
Okay,
But it's important that everyone weigh in on a piece of policy that's important.
okay. So I'm okay with it the way it is and ready for it to move ahead to a full-fledged policy. How does the rest of council feel on that? No comment, so we'll just bring it forward next time as a policy then.
Okay?
All right. Next one is on page 14. That is the Human Resource Standing Committee. And this was the document that we brought forward before we deferred it from our last meeting, that Kelly had done when we had hired her as a consultant, going into labor relations, into our unionization and stuff like that. And this was one of the ones that she had put forward, but it was never adopted. So what would be the policy on this one, Kelly?
This is the first draft of the terms of reference,
Okay.
so the correct procedure would be to open the floor for discussion on it.
I know that one of the things that I believe Councillor Thompson has said was under B, composition, the HRSC will be comprised of 2 councillors, one of whom is the mayor, and Councillor Thompson had mentioned that he would like to see it to be 3 members of council. But I think we ran into problems, or you looked at that when you originally did this, and you couldn't have it be 3 members of council because that's technically a quorum of council. So it has to be 2 members of council. Is that correct, Kelly?
Yes, that is correct, otherwise it's a quorum of council.
Okay. So, but it's the start of, I know, I liked it, I thought it was very well written, very comprehensive, so I didn't have any issues with it. So, we'll put the floor for any other comments on it. You guys have a couple chances to look at it now. Councillor Thompson, you're tapping away there. I know something's going on.
Yeah, I'm still going back to previous discussions. With regard to part B1 composition then, I would suggest that could be just written as 2 councillors. We're a team here and we're working on individual responsibilities. I don't think it always has to be the mayor who sits on all of these committees. It could be 2 councillors because they're going to make recommendations. So
Actually, I think the reason for it is because when you're talking about an HR committee, regardless of who the mayor is the person that works with the CAO on a day-to-day basis. So their input would be firsthand and weighted more because that's their role. So I agree that one of them should be the mayor because that is the primary contact for the CAO between them and council.
If I may, Mayor Martin?
Yep.
The legislative reason why one would be the mayor is because the mayor is also the village's CEO. So it's a reflection of that position, which you automatically assume is that of your elected position.
Maybe we should put a rationale in there, one of whom is the mayor as the CEO of the corporation. Any other comments on that?
Under C2, I brought this up last time, that compensation guidelines are covered under contract. Does that mean this committee will be reviewing contracts?
The compensation guidelines cover much more than monetary compensation. It would cover things like extending benefit packages to include things like a family counseling. It could look at reviewing benefit packages, insurance packages that are not mandatory. So so when we look at compensation in HR, we're looking at more than a monetary value attached to an employment contract. It also would look at the guidelines concerning items such as compensation. Do you say perhaps the first meeting you may say, we're happy with the way this is. There has been some notices come from our benefit providers, there's notices from our insurance corporations. However, we are happy in reviewing annually or biannually.
And I guess just thirdly, under 3C, I'm probably going to get the same answer, but this is with regard to dismissal, which is included under the community charter, I believe. So,
Which one are you looking at in particular?
C3.
C3?
hiring dismissal decisions concerning senior management, council decision.
It is covered under the community charter, Councillor Thompson, and it's always good to have our terms of reference and our bylaws reflect that legislation.
have a question about C, the very last one, review and recommend to council on any third stage grievances going to arbitration or human resource legal matters. Now, as this committee meets basically 4 times a year, so does that mean as grievances come up and they go to their third stage, that it goes to this committee first before going to council, and then it brings to council? So if it's out of those 4 meetings,
If I could just point you to the language, it actually says the committee shall meet at least 4 times a year.
so if there's additional, okay, so if there's additional ones, then, I mean, we just gets called.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions on that
So
one?
this committee is a brand new committee, correct?
Yes.
And it's not gonna be the counselors, it'll be somebody else?
No, it would be
Just
comprised
councillors.
of,
The
and
mayor
we'll-
and one council.
the mayor and 1 counselor.
And, okay, it'll be then.
Mhm.
Then we have to meet with everybody, you have to meet it with everybody,
I think things like this would come forward to in-camera after it goes through.
Yes, especially HR matters.
Okay.
So that the two, whoever's on the committee
Yeah.
would then do their reports back to everybody at the table, and it would be in camera because it relates to HR matters.
Yes.
All right, any other comments on that one?
Just for consistency, I guess I'm gonna ask about C9,
Yes?
where it says appoint 2 council members. Is that much the same as the first, as B1, that it will be a mayor and a councillor?
No. The Human Resource Standing Committee, it would be our hopes that they would look at who may be best qualified on the council to act as a bargaining committee. So what this does would increase the size of the bargaining committee for the village. So it would be officers, statutory officers, as well as 2 council members.
Well, that would be better sitting in the bargaining.
And yes, it wouldn't, they would appoint council members, Councillor Thompson, but that does not mean that they would necessarily be the people to be doing that bargaining.
This is for the union?
Yes, for any labor relations, yes.
Anything else on that, council? Okay, so we don't need a resolution on that now, we just,
No, if we want to go, I will make note of the discussion and points, and I'll bring it forward in a proper format for your consideration.
okay. All right, then we'll move on to page 16. And this is the second draft of the, sorry, what does AFT stand for again? It says AFT Finance Officer Draft.
Oh,
description.
yeah, it's the terms.
Okay, so these are the terms.
Yeah, a job description.
Okay. So, any comments on that, council? I couldn't see where anything was left out.
Well, Councillor Thompson had given me some very good points there, and comparing it against statutory duties, and you'll notice that quite a bit of stuff has been removed, not so much left out.
So if I may, Mayor, a couple of questions. So I'm looking for clarity in what we're doing. So this is the financial officer position, which is an exempt position. I understand that it's an officer position as defined under the community charter. The officer position that we're defining later on under the community charter is called deputy administrator / finance.
It was council's direction that we not use that language and that we look at the bylaw, which is what I've put in for consideration with the information you had shared with me, Councillor Thompson. So 609 would no longer be, as our lawyer said, it's dated. So 609 would be replaced by the working copy of the draft I've done out of the documentation you had forwarded for me.
Okay,
So this is a job description. This isn't the delegation, the bylaw part of it. There's two pieces to this. One is what they call the physical demands of a job.
mhm,
And so that's a job demand analysis. What are the physical demands, the mental demands of the job? This is a job description, which would work in conjunction with the new bylaw. So as before you had, previously we had 609, and each job had its own descriptions, right?
okay,
This is no different other than that. We've looked at the delegation from the different communities and stuff and brought it into a more modern language.
okay. So, just for my own clarity again,
Mhm.
help me if I'm getting redundant. So this is actually the position that has been advertised, et cetera.
The finance
One and the
officer.
same.
One and the same.
Thank you. Now, if I go to page 17,
Mhm.
I do have some points I'd like to raise. One is about bullet number 4, assists in preparing, maintains, and publishes the municipal voters list.
Mhm.
McBride does not maintain a voters list. McBride goes on who walks in through the door on election day. We don't maintain a voters list.
Okay.
So, unless that's something that is going to be reintroduced or introduced, I don't think many municipalities in the province maintain a voters list for municipal elections.
Okay, so that would be dropped right out of there.
I would suggest so because under the Elections Act, there are a rather large number of responsibilities associated with that.
Oh yes, it's quite onerous.
So the federal government's doing it when it has a voters list then?
No,
Well,
The province has one too,
so do municipalities, but not all municipalities.
not other ones. Okay. Under bullet 5,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just the way I spell, but I thought we should spell counselors with yeah, 2 L's.
Yeah, let's go for that. Eh?
If mine autocorrects to 1L.
Yeah, it's Americanized, yes, that's correct, and I think that's probably what's happened, but,
And I'm gonna go about the middle where it says assists in prepares and distributing.
okay, just wait, on the same bullet?
And no,
No,
this is
keep going,
about 6 up from the bottom.
okay. Okay, is the telephone,
Assists in prepares and distributing.
We should-
Oh!
Preparation.
in preparing and distributing?
Okay, that would work.
Yes, it does, that's much better grammar.
And municipals, I guess, should be the municipalities.
Yes, got it.
Okay. There's another municipals in the second bullet from the bottom.
1, 2. Got it.
And when we talk vital statistics transactions, what's included in that, please?
Marriage certificates are vital statistics. When we do any work with the cemetery, we have to register those records.
Okay. Thank you, those are my questions.
Councillor
Page
Yarker?
18, the very bottom says shift structure. The shifts are Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Page 18. Okay,
So
sorry,
that's
that's,
shift structure at the very
Mhm.
bottom. What if they're required to attend like a meeting, a council meeting, or?
that is part of the duty, but the general, the day-to-day shift structure is that.
Okay, does it say in here that?
This is not a contract, so page 18 that you're on is a physical, it's a job demand analysis. So
Right.
the demand is that. What we could do is, out of hours work in the evening and weekends may be required.
Yeah,
Sound
something
good?
like that, just doesn't allow for that.
Well, this isn't a job description, so it's not a matter of whether it doesn't allow for anything, it just says this is the day-to-day. Yeah.
So you're going by what our government people are doing their work from 8:30 to 4:30, aren't they?
That's our office hours.
That's our office hours, yeah.
And so is theirs too, so.
Yeah. So this job demand analysis, it does primary duties, but it's really looking at what is required to do the job. It is required that you have to be able to sit a lot. You have to carry light weights, but on occasion you do have to carry heavier weights. It is very cognitively challenging. These are the things that are noted out, and these are the things that are, these sort of outlines are often set by WorkSafe BC, these type of organizations that say this is sort of an acceptable range for this.
We kind of bumped into the next one too, which is the,
Just making one more little note here, weekend work maybe.
our evenings, yeah. And so this is the same thing, these, once the or the amendments are made, they will come forward and.
Exactly, yeah, this is for,
Any
Okay.
other comments or questions on, we kind of spanned into number E there too, so if we wanted to address anything in, on page 18, because Sharon's already addressed some of it, so if council can look at that one as well at the same time. Okay, so I hear none on those, so we'll move on to reports. Suppose we'll come back with changes as well.
yes, they will.
Okay, so who would like to go first?
I can't, I got nothing to report. Very simple.
Easy one.
I'd like to know about that CM, what are they gonna do with that, so, are they still negotiating, or they're?
Actually, no, we met with CN while we were down at UBCM,
Yeah.
and it was a really nice meeting. They are doing a request for proposal as we speak. That should be out shortly. They were hoping to start part of the construction this winter, and with construction to be completed early next year. So the request for proposal should be out really shortly if it's not out already.
Their dollars.
Yeah, their dollars,
Yeah,
they're
that's
supplying the
the way it
engineer.
should be anyway.
They'll have direct oversight, and of course with the, once it's all complete and signed off on, then the village will agree to take over the maintenance of the underpass.
Okay,
Okay?
and the highway flashing lights look good, so. A lot of people, quite a few aren't complaining about it, they're really happy about it. But, that's good, since even, some people are saying, the truck are saying that, they're even, the highway trucks are slowing down, that going through there.
Yeah. No, it's good. It also, if we should decide to build a bike path from McBride to Tier Mountain, it also fits with that, because then they can go through either Galarga Park or they can go along Dominion Trail. So it takes care of safety components and that we would normally have to ask for. So that's kind of nice timing. Okay, who else?
I'm short and sweet too, so I'll go.
Okay.
Really, nothing to report, but I did enjoy a little meeting with Carl Johnson, our new EDO. I'm really impressed. And I hear that the, sorry, I'm not feeling the harvest dinner went well. I wasn't able to make it. And there was a cute little barbecue at the Rich family on Sunday, and quite a nice little group of people showed, and
That was good turnout. You forgot that you went to the Ancient Cedar Forest sign unveiling.
oh jeez, thank you. I told you. Thank you, Lorraine.
Okay. All right, who's going next?
I thought I'd go last because
Oh,
Okay, Councillor
We're all
Thompson.
at the same time.
My report to council for the day, September 25th to 30th, was at the UBCM, and I'm not going to go through a long discussion of what I attended there, but I will supply a written report to administration and perhaps ask that that be included as a written in the minutes so that it's available,
Absolutely.
rather than just saying we had a written report, but that should be included. It's like 5 pages long,
Oh,
so I'm not going to read it.
Thank you.
October shortly after that, we did come back and attended the opening of the signage at the Ancient Forest, a beautiful sign. October 4th, Committee of the Whole was to introduce council to the Economic Development Officer. And then we had a little get-together afterwards, apparently. October the 7th, we had a presentation by the Community Paramedic. And that's a new program introduced in the province for paramedics to take on a larger role in home care. I think it'll be a great program, and I look forward to seeing that unfold in communities, especially rural ones across BC. Additional things that I've done, I attended the Rural Dividend webinar on October the 6th. I have a pretty good understanding of what's going on there, but I usually attend those to make sure that what I'm saying is consistent with what the staff is saying at the ministry. So it was worthwhile. It talked about the changes to the second intake, which resulted because of recommendations and challenges with the first one. And then just other discussions and phone calls to committee residents. So this is for administration. My written UBCM is attached.
Thank you. Councillor Ricker.
I won't go through all my non-comments lengthy, but Kelly, you have my written one, right?
Everyone has copies of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I attended UBCM too, many meetings there. I won't go through all the ones that I attended. October 1st, we attended the sign unveiling of the Ancient Forest. Looking forward to the completion of all the upgrades there. October 4th, met with the new DO, Carl Johnston. 7th, I was also at the Community Paramedicine Program presentation by Tanya Rich. And the rest is on the report.
All right, so I guess that comes to me. So for my report, I'll give you a copy of this as well. I also attended UBCM from the 25th to the 30th, along with Councillors Reichert and Thompson. We met with Minister Fassbender, who's the minister responsible for local government and staff, to discuss the possibility of the province providing ongoing training to newly elected in their roles and responsibilities as council. I had Robert's Rules of Orders, freedom of information, other subjects not covered during the newly elected seminar. The province was really good about it and said they may even look to ongoing webinars so that new council members that are elected in by-election can get training rather than having to wait till the next municipal election or to get that training. So it went really well with Minister Fassbender. On the 27th, we met with Minister Thompson of the Forest, Lands and Natural Resources to bring the minister up to date on community forest activities and plans, with Minister Stone on Minister of Transportation to discuss the length of time of road closures on Highway 16 due to a lack of coroner and investigative staff taking too long to get here. And we also discussed with Minister Stone the possibility of a bike path from McBride to Tier Mountain, the Tier Mountain system. The minister also informed us that the historical stop of interest signs are in the process of being updated, as many of them have been destroyed or in a state of disrepair, and he welcomed input from those in our areas. I believe we have something on our agenda package in it too, under information. We also met with representatives from CN to discuss our concerns with the progress on the underpass on First Avenue. As I mentioned, we were informed that RPF was already being prepared with construction to be completed, and that CN would supply not only the engineered drawings and proper oversight during construction, with us taking over the maintenance once it's complete. As well as attending meetings with the ministers. I attended the Mayor's Caucus, the Small Talk Forum, Area Association luncheon, attended some study sessions on forestry policy decision-making, reducing liability exposure for local governments, and the MIA-BC AGM. As usual, UBCM is a great opportunity to meet with other mayors and councillors to share ideas and experiences of other local governments. On October 1st, most of council attended the sign unveiling at the ancient Cedar Forest along with Minister Bond, First Nations representations, Daniel Allen from the Regional District, staff from BC Parks and the Ministry of Transportation, volunteers from the Caledonia Ramblers, UNBC, and many others. On October 7th, council attended a presentation by Tanya Rich on the community paramedic program, which is great because it will help seniors stay at home longer and defer costs for them, which is great. On October 9th, I was invited to a Thanksgiving celebration at Joe and Tanya Rich's house. Many community members attended, despite the snow and the cold temperatures. It was freezing. And then just a note, as the Community Foundation is now accepting applications for up to October 31st for grants up to $1,000 for projects that improve the quality of life for residents in the Robson Valley. Grant applications are available at the village office and they're available online. And then just as a personal note, as many of you well, some of you are probably aware, I was recently diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent surgery to remove the lump. So, but over the next several months, I will undergo radiation treatments in Prince George, which will affect my public schedule. So I will remain available by phone and email from Monday to Friday, as I'll be in Prince George for the radiation, and I will try to attend meetings in person, and if not, I will do my best to ensure that I attend over the phone and attend to all my other public duties. So just to let everybody know that I will be very restrictive about my schedule, and Kelly will be first point of contact for that as well. So there's my marriage report. So thank you. All right, you also have the Public Works narrative. That's a late item. And so I don't think there's any comments on that. It's just for your information. So can I get a motion to receive the reports and information?
I would like to discuss the tax
Oh,
sale.
sorry. Okay, page 19, tax sale.
Kind of an important one. Mr. Gillis did have our tax sale on time and on date. There on page 19, there's a brief report from him. We had 7 properties go to sale. One had a bid on it, 6 did not. At the end of the tax sale, the municipality was declared the purchaser of the 6 that did not have a bid put against them. And it closed after the sale, 2 weeks closed after the sale.
All right. Bill Thompson.
Through the mayor to administration, can you give me an overview, because I don't quite understand 6 and 7 manufactured homes. Because this is a tax sale for unpaid taxes. Aren't the taxes paid by the mobile home park owner?
No, not on the private property.
The mobile home park would pay the taxes on the land and include that cost in their pad rental. And the improvements are registered to individual owners, and it would be up to the individual owners to pay those property taxes. Councilor Thompson.
Another thing that can happen, and I'm certainly not saying this has happened, that would be a significant breach of our office, but in the same way that if a homeowner does not pay their utilities, that rolls over as a tax lien, allowing the municipality the ability to collect by any means necessary their money, and then it becomes a tax. But Mayor Martin is correct in that it's not a huge tax, but there is a tax attached to mobile homes.
Based on whatever the value is, of course.
Okay. So when it says under 6 and 7, that the municipality, that no one bid on those, so they're municipality, so does that mean we have to move them in a year?
Not necessarily, no. No, it means that, so in a tax sale, in the same way that if someone had put a bid on, they have to wait the full 12 months before that property becomes theirs. The village has the same obligation. So any of these properties the village has to wait for the full 12 months to allow the owners the opportunity to redeem themselves and to bring out their outstanding up to date. Should they not do that, then the property is the municipality's to do with as it wishes.
So it'd be,
Even if it's in the trailer court,
Yes.
not just the trailer itself.
Absolutely.
so it'd be, the trailer owner, like, because there's monthly rent pads not per baby.
Until
Because-
that 12-month period is done, it's business as usual. Our business is not whether they pay their pad rent or
Okay,
anything.
that's fine.
Our business is whether they're paying the taxes owed to this village.
So, yeah, Joey, yeah.
Okay, so that kind of answers the question. So if I were to look down the road 12 months, and that mobile home was still sitting there,
Right?
then it would become the village's responsibility to pay the rental?
That could be one option. Yeah, that
That's-
could be one.
okay.
Absolutely.
It's what-
Mobile homes often have a problem during tax sale to all municipalities, in that you can likely inherit a building that isn't even worth that volume of taxes that are owed on it. And then removing it or getting rid of it can actually fall to the municipality to deal with. So trailers are always a pain tax time. And
Well, they have to be looked after and maintained. You just get a trailer that's just nothing, like you said, it's
It's-
not even worth paying the tax on it, and they
you
never.
inherit what you get, and
Well.
that's the law, so it's.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
All right, so any other questions on the reports? All right, can I get a motion to receive the reports for information? Move to receive. Moved by Councillor Reichert, seconder,
Second.
by Councillor Thompson. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. All right, we'll move on to the rest of the agenda. Number 8A. A, requiring action, the Robson Valley Music Society is requesting a letter of support for their Heritage Canada grant application for the 13th annual Robson Valley Music Festival. It's on page 24 of your agenda. So I guess I'll make a motion on this, that the,
Yeah.
a motion that the village write a letter in support of the application for the grant on behalf for the Robson Valley Music Society.
So you're making the motion?
There's no motion listed, so I'm making a motion.
I'll second it.
Did you get that, Kelly?
I did.
Motion by Councillor Reichert, seconder,
Second.
Councillor Tracy. Discussion?
Just noting that, of course, it is after the deadline, and they did note that too, that they wanted the letter by September 30th. Would it be useful to make sure they still need it?
Well, the conversation I had with the person said that they had permission to send it in.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
And it does say that in the letter. I understand not having a meeting until October 11th, but we will conform to minutes of the meeting.
There's been a couple times we've been asked for letters of support after the fact because you can add them to grant applications, so. All right, hearing no other questions, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Next item on the agenda is the Ministry of Communities, it's not specifically forestry.
Community sport and cultural.
And cultural development, feedback requesting ride sourcing in BC, and on page 25, and there's a report that goes with that one. So they want us to just give feedback, correct?
Yes.
I read through that, I don't, because it has to do with taxes and stuff, I have to give feedback on
I
it.
think we're good.
So, should we just make a motion then that, administration responds as they feel appropriate?
You're welcome.
I did have a question for clarification.
Okay.
On page, just a moment, 34. It's the one after 33 where you can't read the number. There's a section down there that talks about province and municipalities' requirements and regulatory overlap.
Mhm.
So my question to administration is, do we have any regulatory requirements in our bylaws, et cetera, with regard to transportation sector?
No, other than the Ministry of Transport is the final say on any of our bylaws to do with transportation, land, or use thereof.
Okay.
So basically, as per the Local Government Act, I would say, Councillor Thompson.
So we don't have any duplicative or unique permitting requirements?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
And we had Councillor Ricker, I believe. Did you move? I made the motion for administration to respond as appropriate.
Yes.
And did you second that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Councillor Ricker, any other comments on that then? Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. On page 38 of your package, Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure nominations for stops of interest. So the nomination period is from September 26th to January 31st. I'll read this out for the public because it's asking for public input as well. So following, this is from the Minister, following my announcement at the 2016 UBCM convention this morning, I'm pleased to invite you and your representatives to participate in the province of British Columbia's Stop of Interest sign engagement and nomination process taking place this fall and winter. The province is proud to announce the addition of up to 75 new Stop of Interest signs throughout British Columbia, bringing further awareness and recognition to our collective history and provincial heritage. This process augments our work to rejuvenate approximately 100 of the 139 existing Stop of Interest signs province-wide. In order to ensure a well-rounded and comprehensive complement of new signs, we're asking local governments, First Nations, tourism associations, stakeholders, and the public to nominate people, places, or events of provincial significance they would like to see or commemorated. Please share this invitation with businesses in your community and anyone else who would be interested. The nomination period will be open from September 26th to January 31st, 2017, after which we will evaluate the submissions on criteria such as impact that person had, place or event has had on the lives of British Columbians. For more information on the stops of interest and associated signs currently in place across the province or access to the nomination form to suggest a new sign, please visit our engagement website at engage.gov.bc.ca/signs of interest. Pardon me?
Stops of interest.
Sorry, stops of interest. So you can also contact Sandra Tall-Nacy, the Minister's Director of Business Management Services. She can be reached in Victoria at 250-356-9768.
Maybe we can put this on the front counter or on the window or something on the little bulletin board up there.
The reason I brought it, that's a great idea. The reason I brought it forward to council as an action item is it may be something that before the deadline, council wants to choose a place or a person for. So would it be fair to say now that direction would be to ensure it's available to the public?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, we should share it as much as we can because we do have a great history here.
Maybe on our website too, Facebook page, all
Facebook,
that.
yeah, all the normal routes. Also, direction to share.
Mhm.
All right, so, and from our late items, item D, there's a correspondence from the Valley Museum Archives Society requesting a letter of support. And that's for project manager for the Valley Museum and renovations. So, I do have one question. I'm hoping, Councillor Thompson, you can maybe shed some light on this, being on the Rural Dividend Committee. when we submit these applications in McBride, if we have several not-for-profits and then the village decides to submit as well, is there concern that one project may outdo the other if they only decide to give one to McBride? And the reason I'm asking is I'm thinking we had mentioned before about having these things run through our grant writer and putting them all together, because if we support theirs and then we submit one ourselves, I'm worried about one would get rejected over the other.
That's a very good question. There is no limit to the number of applications that can come from an eligible community. But all applications will be weighed one against the other. So if you have a number of projects coming from a number of nonprofits and a municipality, for example, they will be competing against each other in the various categories. For example, any eligible group can apply for a developmental category as well as one of the partnership programs or the individual programs. So those are the two that a village can apply for, but a nonprofit can apply for the same thing. So yes, they would be competing based, but it doesn't mean that two from a community wouldn't get approved.
Okay.
Because if you're looking at 50 applications and two very good applications from a community, say from a nonprofit and from the village, rise to the top, it's not going to deter them from being funded. So, I know that we have talked about communities vetting their own and making sure that they put forward the best applications. But there's nothing to say that has to happen. Does that answer the question?
It does answer my question, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering how they were gonna handle. I mean, you could end up with 10 for the $10,000 one all from McBride in the Robson Valley, and just didn't want to see one cutting off the other, or one being chosen over the other because of council. So I wanted to make sure that everybody, not just the first one out of the gate, but that everybody has the same opportunity as well as the village, of course. So and that was my main concern with that. So
if I could maybe ask another question, where the letter is asking for a resolution of support.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I need to understand that this is not a project being put forward by the village of McBride.
Absolutely it is not, Councillor Thompson.
Is it required in that the rural Deborah Down process, Councillor Thompson, that letters of support from municipalities should come forward for not-for-profits?
I'm trying to recall exactly what you said, because there was some discussion. If I could, Mr. Frederick, do you recall what was said in the webinar about letters of support? Something was said about they don't want to get a stack of 100 letters because the submission process is different. And there was something about resolutions, and off the top of my head, I don't have that with me.
Would it be appropriate then to postpone this so we could follow up on it
Absolutely.
until our next meeting? Because that still gives us the October 31st is the deadline, and our next meeting is, I believe, the 25th.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, because I'm hearing around the table, I know that there is a committee struck by the village to look at future, further applications, and I'm almost wondering if this should be referred to that committee for recommendation.
Well, we hadn't really fleshed that out when we created the Rural Dividend Committee. We had kind of fleshed out our end of it and not necessarily the public end of it in that committee. So I think the best thing to do would be to defer and then answer those questions.
So do I have, is there a motion to postpone?
Yeah, motion to postpone until the next regularly scheduled council meeting, in case it's not the 25th, not my head.
And just to flesh out what the implications are, passing a resolution and if it has any impact on other applications.
I would just feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I agree that we need some more information. I'm sorry I can't provide it.
So I move that. Do I have a seconder on that?
I'll second that.
Councillor Rickert? Any other comments on that? Rickert? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. All right, so that took care of that one. Bunch of great information. The only thing I wanted to pull out of there is congratulations to the Bike Club. They got $100,000 in funding. So that's excellent. That will really help them get those bike trails going. So that's really nice to see. So I'm just imagining Ingrid is probably just ecstatic. All right, so now we'll move on to Officers Bylaw, number 766.2016, draft on page 86 of your agenda. So Kelly, do you want to bring us up to date as to the process of this?
So this is the first draft. This is what we discussed around looking at our somewhat obsolete bylaw 609, which is our current officer and employees bylaw. Councillor Thompson was kind enough to do some research for me to help me through this, and had looked at a number of bylaws. This is very much the very first draft for your consideration. This is an amalgamation of 3 different communities' bylaws. Going forward with a new and fresh leaf, I actually had their permission to use their bylaws. Bylaws are protected by, so we don't just plagiarize people's work anymore. They were happy that I used them. I spoke with each of the COs and are very happy to help if we need help, which is great. So this is the very first draft. I've presented it because I would like input going forward and in any way that you see fit, and then it'll be a work in progress for us.
Okay, so after this next input, it will be brought forward, and once the input is given, and then we'll go through the typical bylaw process.
Oh yes, oh yes, this goes through a full process. This one actually has to be posted for 2 consecutive weeks in a newspaper as well.
I know one comment I have is if you'll notice between the page 1 and the page 2, you have 2 different fonts, and the page 2 is the font I believe we use on all of our policies and bylaws, so I'd like to see it that be, I know it's nitpicky, but.
I was really looking for some substantive input, Mayor Martin. Thank you very much.
You just got told off?
I would never tell you what.
All right, no, I did read it, and it looks fine to me. Okay, much more detail, so that'll just come forward then. We don't need to make anything at this point in time unless we want to make changes to it right now, so that Kelly can
It's
bring
still
it
going to
over
come
there.
back to first, second, third. reading.
Oh yeah, it's a big process. I was just, I'd send it out, if somebody says something they can see that they really want me to look at or to research some other community, please let me know, because I'm happy to do that.
Nothing on it yet, so. Anything else that jumps out at council on the first draft? Other than the font?
Didn't exactly jump, but,
Okay, so we'll let that one come forward again then. All right, so that puts us, where am I now? On 93, abstention on a demolition permit ordered on 234 Main Street. Recommendation is, if it's council's wish to grant an extension, it is my recommendation that a letter be sent by registered mail to Mr. Denise, giving him 30 days to complete the initial work as outlined in his letter, followed by inspection by me, and a second deadline of April 1st, 2017 to complete the demolition and cleanup of the property.
The letter is on page 94, that we received from Mr. Denise.
So I'm prepared to make that a motion.
Yes, I second that.
Okay, so make that into a motion, Kelly.
Okay, so do I have a mover and a...
Mover is myself, seconder is Councillor Reichert.
Right.
Any other comments on the extension to the demolition order?
Is the, I'm looking at page 95. I'm just not quite sure where that fits in this discussion.
I've highlighted that one to bring forward to the business utilities ones, because I'm...
This came this came as a whole from Mr. Denise. Yeah.
And I know this is one that he did put forward, I believe, under the business utilities
Yes.
committee,
Okay.
that has to be dealt with.
So my sticky note was refer to the business utilities.
I think we already have it there, but I've got a sticky note so that if it isn't included in it, we will include it in it.
Okay.
All right, anything else on that one? I'll call the question then, all in favor? Carried. Next item on page 96 is a motion to receive administration's report on the British Columbia Clean Water and Wastewater Fund. So can I get a mover?
Second.
Seconder, thank you. Comments, discussion?
The only discussion I would have is that with the 50% funding from the federal government, the 33% funding from the province, the first time in many years that water and sewer projects can be completed with only 17% input from municipalities. This is a huge opportunity, and we need to put forward a very strong grant application.
Point of order, we're just, I have a motion and a second to receive the report at this point.
Motion to receive the report.
I have that. I have a mover and a seconder.
Yeah,
I was just letting Mayor
discussion
Mark
under
know.
discussion under the next item.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Councillor Thompson.
I was so excited I jumped in.
I'll just call the question then on that one, all in favor? Carried. All right. Next one is a motion to apply for the CWW. I've got to finish it for the public, you guys. For the Dominion Creek Drinking Water Intake Replacement Project, moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Reichert. Discussion.
What I said earlier.
Ditto.
Councillor Thompson couldn't be, this is, Karen and I were really excited when this came in. It's almost unheard of. It's been decades, I think, since anything like this has been an opportunity for us.
That just came out this year, right?
It's just came out.
Election.
Yeah. Won't comment on that, but no, and it's very difficult for rural for small communities to come up with a third, and a third.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that they've stepped up to the plate and brought that down so smaller communities can continue to upgrade their infrastructure. So, and then I'm assuming with this too that the 55,000 will get included in our budget.
So will this be on an ongoing thing? What happens? No?
No. Just
this
another point, I know I set this for you all, but we are not limited to just one application with this one. We can, so we want to do something very
We're all
strong.
limited by budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we have the November 23rd deadline, so if we want to do anything else, it would
We
have
thought-
to be
We've
quickly.
kind of pre-guessed you guys and thought you might be excited.
So we got more coming down, is what you're saying? Okay, no, that's fine.
Street paving?
And just just, just doing the math, remember that the old formula was 33% federal,
Yep.
33% provincial, and 33% municipal. And it's still 33% provincial, so this is really a gift from the federal government.
It truly is, yeah.
So election or no election is coming from the feds.
All right. I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried.
Let's get excited again.
Next item is a motion that council resolve to contribute its share of the eligible project costs for all and eligible and ineligible project costs associated with the project. Mover on that one?
So
Seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you. And any discussion on that?
The only discussion I have, Worship, is it's hard to make this motion, and I know it's essential, but I certainly hope that we soon get to the point of completing our budget process and moving forward, because it's hard to make a motion to put away budget amounts for a project when we haven't finished the budget. Just a comment. I'm hoping that we're soon to complete the budget.
I did send the completed revised budget in confidence to all council members. I sincerely hope everyone had an opportunity to look at it, and we await legal advice.
That's our last component to bring that forward, so. All right, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. Next item is a motion that council identify the source of the village's share of project costs as per the requirement of CWWF application. So I need a mover and a seconder on that to get it onto the floor. So moved. Seconder? Councilor Tracy. Discussion?
Similar comments. With the same.
So, yeah, Kelly, can you elaborate on this part?
I
a little
would
bit more?
recommend that we identify the revenues that we have set aside for our water,
Okay.
the gas tax revenues. That would be my recommendation, is that the administration ensure that that is secured and noted for the application.
So use gas tax.
Yes.
Sorry, and you said administration to ensure?
Yeah, so we have to, with these application forms, because I think they are being so generous with us, they're actually demanding, not only that you will need it, but how you're going to need it and from where.
So then would we have to amend that motion
No.
to say that it's coming from gas tax, or just to give administration the ability to do that?
No, if we identify it,
Mm-hmm.
and I am identifying that as a very likely source for it. Or you could identify the source being the gas tax credits. Because you had already by resolution put that money for water.
So what you're looking for, if I, just for clarification, the application is gonna make sure that you identify that you have the money and the project ready to go.
And where that money's gonna come from.
Right.
Okay.
And so this motion is just saying, yes, we have the money and we know
Mhm.
where it's coming from.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay. I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. Next item on page 97 is the BC Bike Grant, the 2017 intake. So our recommendation is that administration recommends that council consider planning a bike trail that connects the village to McBride Peak and Tier Mountain Bike Trail Network, and to fund the trail construction with support from Bike BC. So, now this one there isn't, we don't have an application deadline on it yet.
No, we are, We are just wanting to make administration is wanting council to be aware
Okay.
that there's been 3 recommendations that a plan be developed. And this is something that is done at this table, not by administration. So we're wanting to remind you that going forward for the 2017 intake, we need that. We need to look at that, or council needs to look at that. We can assist in any way we can.
Okay, so basically that's, we need to actually hire an engineer, get some drawings put forward.
Intake is mid-October, right?
They had said it was, but I don't think we've received that information.
Mid-October of 2017?
No, they were
No.
going to move the Bike BC amounts and grant forward. And they had said that it would be, October would be the intake period for the Bike BC grant.
There, I do not believe that at this time, council is ready to make a mid-October grant application.
No.
Unless there's a plan somewhere that administration is unaware of.
Okay, no, we just said to her that it was being moved up to October, so.
I haven't been given a 2017 date yet, nor have we actually received the October
And we
date.
can look into that, because they said it was supposed to be February, right, and they're moving it up to October,
Yeah.
the intake date.
Yeah.
But I don't know when the deadline is.
Opens October the 15th or something.
Okay.
But when's the deadline then?
I don't know, but I'm sure that if we go to the website, for
Yeah.
BC,
Yeah,
or contact
exactly.
There's $10 million there, so. we can have
So with all of these grants, and as the grant writer has told you, we need a proper engineered schematic, a plan that has to be attached to the application for them. So that's something we'll have to look at the cost of, giving a quote on the cost of that.
Is it possible then that maybe we should bring it forward at the next council meeting and get the costs identified and stuff like that, so that if there is a grant
Very sensible.
intake and we have it within the budget, we can get that schematic done.
For the 2017 intake.
I don't think they're going to be doing a February intake if they're going to be doing an October one.
They're moving the February one up to October, but the deadline could be December 31st, who knows, we might have time.
Yeah.
Well,
indeed.
and my
Sorry,
understanding is it
August.
doesn't have to be a full-fledged schematic, like an actual engineered stamp drawings. It has to be a general overall concept to move forward in. is my
Administration can
understanding.
only report what our grant writer has said to council.
Okay. So let's bring this forward then to next meeting. We'll figure out the timeline and the plan of action and whether or not we've got it, the monies in the budget to do those drawings.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll bring forward that one forward, Kelly?
Postpone to next regular meeting.
Yes, please. All right, so the next item on the agenda is from your handouts, and that is a report by Councillor Thompson. And a request, we'll just go right to the last page of it. Councillor Thompson's motion is that the Council of the Village of McBride appoints Councillor Thompson to the working group on the regional representation and advises Mayor's Crook and Councillor Joan Atkinson of Mackenzie of this representation, and further that the Council of the Village of McBride support this initiative with meeting and travel expenses as required. So this is in regard to regional representation for School District 57. So I guess I would need a mover on that.
I'll move that.
And a seconder.
I'll second it. Can I speak to a slight change?
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's Mayor Crook without an S.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
There's only one per.
So I've also provided you with what went through from the regional district when it originally had gone through. And this was in October 5th of 2015, and it includes much of the information that Councillor Thompson has put forward in his report. Now, the problem that I have with this, and this is that it outlines that there would be one representative of Valemont and Rossa Valley, the entire regional district, sitting at the regional district board, and that I'm not too sure why the Village of McBride should be paying the money to have representation for that entire area, when it should in my opinion, is best held at the regional district board, because that's where Mayor Crook sits, that's where our representatives sit at the regional district, as well as Daniel Allen. And I have a little problem with putting out money for that when it's already being handled at that level. That's not to say that I disagree with the school district board being made up by regional representatives as opposed to having all of the directors from Prince George. I absolutely agree with that. And it was supported in October at the regional district level. So I'm not too sure where I want to go with this, but I'm open for debate here.
I think it's imperative that we have representation there from McBride, I think. I think it's extremely important to our area, being in the situation we're in with our schools. I don't think we can afford to not have representation there.
What's happening with this elementary school?
That's what I'm saying, we don't know.
But that's a different, if I can say, that's a different topic at this point in time.
Okay.
This topic is simply the discussion of putting forward a letter of request to the ministry to ask that the school district revise their representation of school board elected officials. The discussion, as you can see from my report, has been, a lot's been going on for an extended period of time. And my discussions with Councillor Atkinson and Crooks is that they intend to continue working with McBride and Belmont and Mackenzie and the other outlying schools to try and bring this forward. And in our discussions, they suggested, with my experience in education, that I would bring valuable discussions to the table, and I agreed to bring this forward with the background information and see where council went. I believe Belmont is going to be doing the same and sending a representative to the committee. It's just that the working group has not formally had a response from Belmont or McBride as to whether or not they're going to participate.
Well, I think that was because it was assumed in October that we did support it, because we supported it at the regional district table.
It was all a huge confusing mess, but.
It was, but it still did get the support that it needed from us at the regional district table. So in essence, Belmont and McBride did vote for it already. And at that point in time, it was the two mayors and Mayor Mackenzie that were included in the original letters. So for that, and this is just my perspective, I agree that a method should be found to get school district 57 representation to be reflective of the area. However, I just don't see this being part of it. I'm more concerned about the email that we've got from PAC as to the school districts deciding to close the elementary school and starting that process, and wanting more input on that. To me, that's far more important than this. And I would, like I said, I just don't think it's worth the bang for our buck. So I won't be voting for it.
Well, again, I think it's important that we do represent ourselves on this working group, and that's why I've put the motion forward. I wrote the motion, it's been moved and seconded. So.
I agree with Councillor Thompson. I did talk to Mayor Cook and Joan at UCM, and I think it's extremely important that we move forward on this.
Do we really need to send representatives to
I believe we do.
this? Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I'm far more concerned with what's going on locally. I mean,
Yeah, but we don't know what's going on, that's the problem.
actually, it's just if you read the letter, it's in your package. We will have to be meeting with PAC, and we will have to get together on that.
Can we wait on this then? How long do you have?
I think we're talking two different issues.
Yeah.
There are
We're
two
talking
different issues.
one-
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
his
yes,
is Councillor Thompson's is just to deal with representation, and changing that process itself.
Well, I think he's, yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay, well then, any other questions, comments? We'll call the question. All in favor? I'll go as opposed, and yes, I'd like my negative vote recorded. And the motion carries. All right, and the camera is the next section, but that has been canceled.
Move to adjourn.
Councilor Riker. 8:37. Sorry.
Yeah, you can take that home.
Yeah, no, I don't need this other.
Thanks everyone for coming out.